Good morning, everyone. Addiction is real, it is vicious, it destroys families and lives, and it seems as though everyone at some point in their lives has been affected by addiction in some way, shape, or form. And Greg Hannley and Daniel Baldwin with Sober Recovery are back, along with the lovely Miss USA 2006 and recovery advocate Tara Connor. And of course, we can't leave out Rocky, who is also here. Hi, guys.
Always. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I always love when you guys are here. We always go through and we try to find some trending stories that I think you guys would, well, that you'll have something to say about. And I don't think we've ever talked about anything like this. Now, Rocky, earmuffs.
Okay.
Because
there's
a trending story that has to do with people abusing their pets to get the pets opioids. So people are going to vets around the country when their pets are sick or ill, and then they get an opioid, and they are actually taking and using that medication for themselves.
Oh my God.
So it's abuse because the pet's suffering, obviously.
Obviously.
But
I don't know if that's genius or if that's just
horrible.
Horrible.
A little of both. It
It's
is
horribly
that was the
genius.
addict in me that came out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I didn't think of that.
My mind immediately as an addict went to the fact that I have dogs that are over 200 pounds. Imagine how many opioids I could get.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, you look at him at Rufus, you gotta take one for the team.
Man, he needs 50 of those.
At
He's a
least.
big dog.
My
Can
dog
y'all
is a
believe that?
non-narcotic dog.
Of
She
course,
gets
Rocky.
Tylenol.
Of course.
The things we hear about
Yeah.
people doing to get their drugs are, it's
I mean,
just
it's not
awful.
surprising.
But this isn't just one guy. Like, this is a trend.
Well, they're addicts. You know, they're going to do
Yeah.
whatever they can do.
At least they could bring them in for anxiety instead of beating
Right.
them up.
Right.
Yeah,
Terrible.
because they give them Prozac and stuff. Well, that doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They do make doggy Prozac and
Yeah.
all
I
kinds
know.
of stuff.
Yeah.
As they should. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
That is.
It's terrible.
It's
Horrible.
awful. It's awful. But I was like shocked.
No
The things that people
response to
come
that
up
one.
with.
They're like, ooh.
So this is a little different. This is actually good news.
Okay.
So the maker of the powerful painkiller OxyContin, as everyone has heard of, they are no longer promoting the drug to physicians. So this company says, and they announced this weekend, that instead of going out and promoting the drug as reps to doctors, they're no longer going to do that, and they're going to be pushing other drugs instead.
Oh, that's great. So they're just going to push the next drug that people are
Right.
going to get addicted to. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay!
But not OxyContin.
just fentanyl.
Yeah, I get
Just
it.
all the other ones.
Yeah.
Well, they've obviously had so many lawsuits, and so I guess this is their way of kind of getting out of that and saying, well, we're doing what we can do.
It's saving
We're not
face.
promoting it.
If they were doing what they could do, they would take a percentage of everything that they make off of any opioid and put it into treatment and long-term recovery.
And off of anything they prescribe.
Seriously,
But
though.
you know, sadly, what this really boils down to is, and Greg has said this before, the companies that started the problem now have the cure.
Right.
So
The addictive cure.
The addictive cure. So
Yeah.
so with that said, I'd be willing to bet you that more people are dying and not buying the addictive cure, so they want to slow down the amount that's going out,
Yeah.
so that everyone starts getting on the cure. I mean,
Needs that
it's all.
now.
If you want to figure it out, follow the money.
I have some
Yeah.
good news, by the way.
What's that? What's your good?
Arizona, props to the governor of Arizona, because they finally, and my sister-in-law is a representative there, so I was talking to her before the opiate conference, and I go, do the right thing. Here is the right thing to do. So they're enacted a law that people can only get 5 days worth of opiate-based painkiller at a time.
That's wonderful.
With a 30-day maximum unless they're on hospice or cancer.
Okay, so why can't we do that everywhere?
Well, they
Seriously,
should.
they
So
should.
they're
Yeah.
gonna lead the charge on this, and then
great.
hopefully other people will follow.
That's great news. Good for
Yeah,
her.
it's
Doing
really
the right
good
thing.
news.
That's doing the right thing. I
Good
don't
for
know.
my home state.
Yeah, well, you should be proud, Greg.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really
Step
surprised
it up, Kentucky.
we
You know
haven't
what I'm
done
saying?
something like that in Texas. I really feel like we should. We would have by now. That's awesome.
You would hope so.
Also, I was thinking when we were talking about the OxyContin, and you hear about that one a lot. What are some other popular ones that people get hooked on? Like, what's another like really
Vicodin.
popular
Vicodin,
drug
Percocet.
that's a start for people?
Yeah.
Just so parents
Vicodin.
know.
Oxys, fentanyl patches.
Fentanyl, isn't
They
that
have,
really,
like,
really strong?
Fentanyl's the one
suckers.
that's
Fentanyl's
causing
the
the-
crazy one, but they
That's
start
really
with
strong,
Vicodin.
right?
It's either Vicodin
Yeah.
or even Tylenol 3 because it's codeine based.
Right.
So then, I'm a physician, but that's how it started for me. I took like a Tylenol 3, and then someone gave me like a morphine capsule.
One of my daughter's friends got
caplet.
his wisdom teeth pulled last
Yeah.
week, and he's 17, They gave him 80 Vicodin.
No, they.
80.
80 Vicodin.
That happened to me at 16.
How is
You
that
know-
even legal to give someone that much?
But it's a common sense question. If any of the medications that are being prescribed by a doctor have an addictive proponent to them,
Right.
you should moderate the
Of
amount.
course.
Yeah, every
And
2
inform.
hours,
Right.
too.
Every
If
2
you
hours.
ate 80 Vicodin for every 2 hours, you're
Guys,
going to
you'd
detox
be like
from it.
comatose. I mean, that's
You're going to
insane to me.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
It's true.
Well, hopefully everyone will do what they're doing in Arizona, and that's
Yeah.
great news, Greg. Okay, you guys stick around. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about Russell Brand. He's on the cover of your magazine. We'll talk about that after the break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Daniel Baldwin, and this is Soba Texas, where I got sober. When you come to Soba, you're not going to a hospital. You're going to a beautiful ranch. You're going to a place of peace where you're going to join a family of people that have a common problem, addiction or alcohol. Your treatment plan is made by the clinicians here at Soba, depending upon the circumstances in your life, not like one size fits all. It starts with a phone call. Someone will answer the phone and talk you through exactly what your needs are. Call now.
And we are back with Soba Recovery. And Greg, of course, has a publication. It's called Recovery Today. And we always talk about who is on the cover of the latest issue. And this time around, it is the one and only Russell Brand.
Isn't that cool?
That is so cool that y'all got him and you have an interview with him. And in the interview, well, first of all, he's talking about his new book that Daniel said he just got. It's called Recovery, Freedom from Our Addictions.
Yeah.
But he talks about his version of the 12 steps
Okay.
for recovery. And then something that really stood out, you guys say in his interview, is the fact that he talks about how he had to unearth some serious, serious pain to get to the other side, to where he is now. So I'm excited to read this article. And Daniel, you said you just got his book.
I just got the book at the
Like
house.
you're ready to crack it open.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is it about him that people find so interesting? I know he's been sober for a while, right?
I think he's
Many
lived
years.
out loud for a very long time, and he's always been very public about
Yeah.
his addictions and his recovery, and he's actually been a great voice for
Mm-hmm.
the recovery movement. So, you know, he's kind of a big deal. Like, it's huge that we landed him for recovery today.
I know. I was like, way to go, Greg.
You know, I was
Well-
like, why didn't I get
Yeah, that was big.
right?
Yeah, he was happy to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that have come around, and we're getting a lot of interesting people now. We interviewed Wee Man last week.
We did.
Yeah. So, but when people are finally coming out of the basement of the church and they are talking about this because so many kids need to hear it. And Russell Brand, he's an unexpected guy that you would go, Russell Brand is sober. And
Because
when
he's so goofy naturally, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's having a good time.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the common denominator in people who go into recovery is that you got a clean house.
Yeah.
So by the time you get there, you have so much stuff that doing an inventory and being able to let it go and do the things that you need to do to get your side of the street clean is what it's all about.
It takes a lot of work, and it doesn't stop, because the more
Like ever.
sober you get and the more conscious you are, it's like the truth comes in phases. I mean, I've learned more about myself in the past 2 years of my 11 years of sobriety than I did in the first 5.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because I hit a bottom in sobriety because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't doing the do or, you know, working any type of program, and I wanted to die. I knew that I was going to kill myself from a sober state because I was like, why? Because being sober is just the crumbs. Like, that's why Soba's so great, because they really get in there and unearth the things that are blocking you from that power that we all have. And they've done a great job with that. Yeah.
I like him because he thinks outside the box. He caught my attention to get the book because he started an online fundraiser because the prince is about to get married in England, and they've just taken the route that the carriage is going to take, and evidently they're evacuating all these homeless in this one area that the carriage is going to go by because they think it's going to look terrible
they don't
on
want to see
camera.
that on
So he
television.
turned around and he said, why don't we take this empty building and why don't we give it to the society that helps the homeless? He said, doesn't the prince and the queen deserve a beautiful path for the... So he's using the
Smart
and he's
guy.
lobbying people sign this petition.
Yes.
And I looked and I went, what a great idea.
That is a great
What a great
idea.
idea. Let's not just kick them out and send them to some subway
Let's
station.
give them somewhere to live.
Let's give them a place to live.
And make it sound like
Doesn't
it's your
Harry
idea.
deserve to have a nice wedding? And he's playing
Come
little
on,
girl. And I
England.
thought, what a brilliant way to do it. But when you look at some of the outline of the book, it's also very outside the box stuff. But a guy that's willing to take a big celebrity status in the UK and worldwide and get people to ask questions and start a conversation, which is Alex Dragici's line all the time. It starts with a conversation. He's got people talking.
Yeah, and that's the key, isn't it?
For sure.
To get people
Yeah.
talk and to feel that they can talk about it.
Right,
I feel like
normalize
the
it.
stigma is gone. You know, people, I hope, feel, well, not gone, but you know, they feel like
Yeah,
they're a little more open, I think, to talk about it than they were 10 years ago.
for sure, for
You
sure.
know?
But they're certainly talking about mental health right now.
Right. Well, we were saying during the break, I think everyone needs a therapist, whether you know, in recovery or
We're
not.
all suffering
Everyone
from
could use
something.
it.
We are all
Yeah.
suffering from something. It's just having the humility to be able to be like, okay, my way's not working. So how can I get better and live a better life?
What can I do different?
What can I do different?
So Russell's on the cover now, and you can check that out on Recovery Today. Now, I want to talk to you about one more thing that's in this issue of Recovery Today, because this hit home. I've always had girlfriends who it seemed like they could never not be in a relationship, right? So everyone has that girlfriend who it's like relationship after relationship after relationship. And you have an article in Recovery Today that actually talks about people who are addicted to relationships.
Yeah.
Is that a real thing?
Yes.
For
I mean,
sure.
I feel like it is because I've seen it, and I'm like, you're with him now.
I
you
had
know,
that problem.
Your
Like,
relationship.
I mean, serial monogamous.
Really?
Seriously. And it
Why do you
wasn't
think that is?
because I didn't want to be alone. I couldn't be alone and be okay with that. And that's why I said the past 2 years has been a lot of work for me to be okay either being alone or even being able to be alone in a relationship and being okay with that. Like, I had to get solid before I could offer any type of good to a relationship.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I think the interesting thing about the article and the interesting thing about people that have this problem is that they constantly find themselves in relationships that they know anyone else would look at and say it's never going to work.
Right, bad
so
idea.
So they're setting themselves up.
Yeah.
So it's about the turmoil, it's about the discomfort and the...
It's entertaining. I mean, if you're bored, get into a bad relationship. It's great
Yay!
until it's not.
And see, here I am going, I just want 5 minutes alone.
You
Can
know?
someone just leave me alone?
Right.
I just want to watch The Real Housewives.
Seriously,
Is
though,
that too much to
I
ask?
need that 2 hours because they're more than
Yeah,
one.
but that's interesting. That is a real thing then.
Yeah, for real.
There's
Do
a
people actually
meetings,
get treatment
sex,
for that?
love, and relationship meetings.
Is there treatment for that?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
meetings. There's a 12-step meeting for it.
I'm glad there's meetings though.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Meeting for anything. All right,
right.
we have viewer questions coming up after the break, so you guys don't go anywhere, and y'all have to stay here too.
Okay, boom.
You too, Rocky. We'll be right back. She's up now. What's on her little neck? And we're back with Soba Recovery, and every time you guys are here, we have to actually narrow down all of the viewer questions that we get. So we're going to go through some of those, see how many we can get through.
Perfect.
All right. So first up, this was from Facebook, and it's a simple question, but I feel like if someone is just now tuning in for the first time, this is important information. How do I know someone is using drugs? What are the signs? I know it sounds simple, and I know because you guys talk about it all the time, but for someone who's never seen it, never experienced it.
So-
Rapid weight loss, mood shifts, irritability.
It's intuition.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I always say if you think something's going on, it's because something's going on, and you need to get a drug test and just see. And when I approach people with a drug test,
Yeah, 'cause I
it's
would
not
think
about
they wouldn't like
catching
that.
them, it's about letting them know, we just want, people are saying that you're on drugs, and I want to show that you're not. So let's just do this so I can advocate for you.
Right.
And then they don't feel like you're the enemy.
Yeah, if somebody's acting high, it's because they're high.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're suspicious, I've never been suspicious of
been
somebody
wrong.
and found out that they were fine.
Your
Not one time.
suspicions were never incorrect.
Never.
They were always right, especially a child, right, Daniel? And you always say, look, moms, listen to what your gut's telling
The
you.
problem that we have is that we don't have a history of years of spending to know what the control behavior is.
Yeah.
But yes, Greg will always tell you, when you talk to a mom who goes, yeah, he's acting really different. Moms know,
They
you know,
do.
so when the mom tells us, and then we start asking dumb questions that seem, it hasn't dawned on them, are you missing spoons from your, and they go, as a matter of fact, we have 12 knives, we have 12 forks, we have 4 spoons. Yeah, so 8 of your spoons are gone.
The thing that doesn't occur to people, though, and so many times I'll get moms and dads that come in and go, we think he's been drinking and using too much pot, and then they find out that they're on way harder drugs
Right.
for a
It's
long
gotten way
time.
farther.
Yeah, it doesn't even occur to them. I mean, to think that your son is a heroin addict. You don't sit and look at him and go, and you know, obviously something's going on. You think, man, Daniel's drinking too much or he's getting high, but they don't.
Never
they don't
there.
go, he might be on heroin.
I mean, as a parent, you hear that word and you go, heroin. I mean, that's
Heroin.
what people are doing in the streets and back alleys. Like,
Right.
my
But
kids
no.
wouldn't be doing that. Where would they even get that?
I got it from my doctor in the form of oxys and morphine
Yeah.
and Percocet and fentanyl
Yeah.
patches. I
They don't
mean, that's
know
what
that.
leads to it. They take those, they run out, and then they have to go to the cheaper source, which is heroin.
And that's deadly.
It's deadly.
Y'all say one time
Yeah.
and that can be
One
it for
time.
somebody.
Yeah.
Well, it has a progression. So you go through those stages, whether you get, you know, jumped and unknown to you by the doctor giving you 80 Vicodin or whatever, and suddenly you're addicted. But the same guy that has the pill at 20 bucks a pill, and you're trying to maintain as an 18-year-old kid
Right.
a 9-pill-a-day, $180 habit. How long is that going to last? How many pieces of jewelry can you take from your mom? How many things? So when you're out, the same guy has a little white bag, and he goes, hey, these are 10 bucks a shot.
So much cheaper.
And they're always going to do it just once.
Right.
And just going to
Just this
smoke
one
it.
time.
I'm just going to smoke it once.
Smoke it.
And they do it once, and they become a heroin addict. And they put the asterisk, but I'm never going to shoot it.
I'm never
So
going to shoot it.
down the line, they go, okay, I'm going to shoot it once. I'm going to try it once, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to share a needle. And then they shoot it once, and they become, and that's a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot harder to turn back somebody who's an IB user because they get addicted to the whole process
yeah.
of shooting.
I was addicted to the process of snorting,
Yeah.
just going into bathrooms and doing that. Like, I loved that time because
And if they
I missed it.
If they shoot it long enough, then they get an added bonus of hepatitis C or
Right.
HIV. And that's something that you can't turn back.
No, that's, yeah.
So we need to catch this early to where it doesn't have like a lifetime problem that goes with it.
Of course. All right, here is the next question. It says, what are the long-term consequences of drug abuse? I don't know if we have enough time for that, right, guys? But I don't know if they mean physically
I lay down
or
during this
something.
segment?
I know.
Yeah.
Well, think of every
Long-term-
bad thing that you
Yeah,
can
that-
think
that's
of.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Every disease, every
Jail,
jail,
institution,
yeah,
death, family problem,
family,
financial problem.
losing your
Every aspect
kids,
of a good thing in
dogs,
your
in my
life
case.
is in shambles.
Yeah.
That would be the long-term
That's
effect.
it. That's it. And this one I want to get to. I thought this was important, and it's a simple question. It says, what helps someone stay clean? And I know, again, there's many, many factors to that, but what are the main things that can help someone?
Not drinking or using is number one.
Obviously.
But helping others. So they have a thing that is clean house, trust God, help others. And people hear a 12-step program. The first 11 is just to get you to the 12th.
Right.
And the 12th is to help other people. And when I'm helping somebody and I'm thinking about them, I'm not thinking about me. And it's kind of how you rebuild the spirit that the drugs take away from you. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say if I had to say any one thing, I would say a program of action.
Right.
And the key word is action. It, you know, in the steps, it talks about things that you have to decide, things that you have to turn over, but then there are actual actions that you must take place. And what Greg's referred to in 12 is having had a spiritual awakening, we reach out to the alcoholic or addict who still suffers.
Right.
People think, God, what a great thing how Greg is. What a great thing how he does all these things for the people.
No.
And he is. But I got
has
news for
to.
you. I'm not the greatest saint that you think I am. I do it to keep my ass sober.
Yeah. Right.
This is what I have to do.
But it's a win-win.
I'm really sick, so I got to do it a lot.
Right,
Same.
right.
Same.
More than
he's-
normal.
But he's not trying to be. He's not trying to be funny.
No,
We're
I
that
understand.
level sickness.
We're
that
real.
if-
We're
that-
real
that-
addicts, real alcoholics. So
We've been blessed to have gotten into on camera and do things. So why not take all that God gave you now and say, hey, you know what? I want to stay sober. And so it's really part of doing it for our own sobriety.
Yeah.
In an hour, we'll be sitting at the treatment center having the same conversation with a kid who just got there.
That's right.
So,
you
you know,
will.
sometimes you get a chance. I remember Daniel got me on Larry King with Tara.
Woo, woo.
And,
That's how we met.
we were able to talk to millions of people. And the same exact thing we were saying there. 3 hours earlier, I was talking to 4 or 5 guys at the treatment center. And it's just good.
Well, you guys are good, and we love that you're here, and I love what you're doing for people throughout the entire country. And if you are suffering or you have someone you love that is in a lot of trouble, we're going to tell you what you can do today, right now, to turn it around, or at least start on the right path. We'll be right back. And we're back with Sober Recovery. Alex is joining us, and we mentioned earlier, if someone is in trouble right now or they have someone they love who is in trouble, what can they do?
Well, we changed it. Now we say it starts with a text. So you can just text hi, help, hello.
Send a text.
Send a text,
An
yeah.
emoji.
The numbers,
Anything.
I think they put the number up earlier.
Okay.
It's 210-727-2692.
Okay.
And while you guys were on doing viewer questions, a big one that I kept getting just now on Facebook and on personal messages, a lot of them are saying, how can I come into treatment? Dad saying, when I have bills, how am I going to pay my bills with my kids and my wife? Are you going to help me pay my bills? And I responded and I said, I'll bring it up. There's a medical leave of absence. Every
Okay.
company, every employer, if you're sick, this isn't that, hey, I'm a drug addict and I can't just leave.
Right.
Well,
They have to
coming
let
into
you
treatment
go.
is a medical condition also that
Right.
you're coming in, so they have to give you medical leave of absence.
I love
Thank
that
you,
mentioned
Alex.
that.
And we got to go. We're just out of time. But again, here's all the information for Soba. Daniel, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you can call them or text them today. They're there, and they are here to help you guys.
Hi, I'm Daniel Baldwin, and this is Soba Texas, where I got sober. When you come to Soba, you're not going to a hospital. You're going to a beautiful ranch. You're going to a place of peace where you're going to join a family of people that have a common problem, addiction or alcohol. Your treatment plan is made by the clinicians here at Soba, depending upon the circumstances in your life, not like one size fits all. It starts with a phone call. Someone will answer the phone and talk you through exactly what your needs are. Call now.